everyone, and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm doing something a little bit different to the usual vlogs. I'm actually sitting down and talking to you guys in front of a camera, which for some reason feels a bit more daunting, but we move on. Today I really want to do a video on love languages and practicing self-love, because over the last few months I've recently been able to separate the idea of self-care and self-love, because I feel like society tries to profit off them, so sometimes it's really confusing on how and like, is there a proper way you're meant to give self-love? And the way I've been able to separate the two of them and practice self-love is by investing myself in learning about love languages and how you can practice them on yourself, etc. So what are love languages? I did not know what they were until July 2020, where I watched Rowena's video on the idea of love languages and how you can practice them on yourself and others, which I found incredibly helpful, and it's very detailed. So if you want a more informative video on what they are, I definitely recommend go watching her video. I'll link it below. But basically, a basic rundown is that love languages are 5 different ways you can give or receive love, and your love languages is how you want to receive love. And it can be from anyone. It can be from your partner, it can be from your family, it can be from your friends, and most importantly, it can be from yourself. So the 5 love languages are quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, touch, and gift giving. And the idea was originally created by Gary Chapman. It was primarily used in couples relationships to help open up communication about 2 people who want to be loved in 2 different ways, and how that is okay and is probably the best way to approach a relationship. It's the idea of like, if someone's primary love languages is acts of service, they probably value someone doing something for them over than getting a gift, for example. So love languages are important in self-love because by realizing what love languages speaks to you the most, you can effectively give yourself what you desire, what you need, instead of relying on someone else giving it to you. So without further ado, I'm gonna just jump straight into the video and show you guys a little tiny slice of how I practice self-love through love languages. And just a little heads up, if I'm honest, the idea of love languages is how you interpret them. It's completely limitless. It doesn't have to be categorized into like one sort of act of love, as in like, if your primary love language is gift giving, you don't always have to show yourself love by giving yourself a gift. Like, you can practice all of them. It's just your primary love languages is what speaks to you the most and means the most, which is why it's so important to explore them and understand that it's limited. But yeah, let's get going, do some self-love, because it is vital in the society we're living in. Teehee.
So I took the love languages quiz, and my primary love language is physical touch, came at 33%, and then words of affirmation was next at 27%, and then acts of service was next at 20%, quality time at 17%, and receiving gifts at 3%. Words of affirmation, in a sense, is a way of affirming your love for yourself. It can be through verbal or it can be through literary. Anyway, any way you can express love to yourself is words of affirmation. But some ways you might do it is through letter writing, journaling, notes to your future self, and verbal affirmations. There's no right way to do it. However, I think it's one of the most important ones, and even though it was 3rd on my ranking, I still practice verbal affirmations daily because it's a cliche, but words are a powerful tool, and we're able to shape the perspectives and narratives we view each other and ourselves in through the words we speak to ourselves in alone. It's quite a common idea that if you speak negative thoughts, you're going to view yourself in a negative way. So words of affirmation can be a way to enforce that positivity, enforce that love on yourself. And trust me, by doing a daily affirmation, repeating things like I am beautiful, I am worthy of love, can feel daunting and vulnerable at first, but the difference it makes is astounding. I cannot tell you. I went from physically cringing and not truly believing myself when I would speak out loud, I am pretty or I'm worthy of love, and now I'm able to stare at myself unflinching and chant back things I deserve to hear, like I am sacred, I am a body of divine beauty, I love myself wholly and completely. Words of affirmation is just a way to really change the way you look at yourself and feel about yourself. One way I do it that I feel like is really beautiful and I feel like gives me a lot of joy is writing a letter to my past and to my future self. I sit down and do monthly letters to myself where I write down how I've been feeling, what are some things that are going right for me, what are some things that are going wrong, and generally just give myself a reassurance that everything is going to be okay, that I'm okay, that life is going to move on no matter what happens during the months. And it's great for my present self, and it's great thinking about my past self, and it's also really nice for my future self to look back on and realize how much I've grown and developed as a person. And yeah, I just really like it as a form of practicing self-love. And then we have a quality time. As I said before, I have been more naturally inclined to practice self-love through quality time, whether that's taking myself on a date, going to watch a sunset or something, just taking alone time for myself. That's how I have perceived self-love. I think it's because I grew up with a very busy family, so any time for myself was considered precious. However, interestingly enough, it was second to lowest on my ranking. Nevertheless, I still practice it and I still think it's so important to take time for yourself to really think things through and to just be alone with your thoughts and emotions. It's so important and is a great way of showing self-love because you're able to connect with things that you might bury down when you're away with people. So some ways I spend quality time, like I've said before, is going on walk, going on dates by myself, out of the house. That's how I spend my quality time. So one way I've been doing it in lockdown is sunset chasing. I love a good sunset. That in itself is a form of self-love for me. Just watching a sunset just reminds me of all the good and simple things in life, and taking myself on a mini date to watch the sunset alone is just chef kiss. So I'll usually go take a book or my journal, get there about 15 minutes before the sun starts to set, and it's just the perfect way of showing self-love if you have the time. I definitely would recommend. But some other ways you can show quality time is meditating, doing an hour yoga practice. Also taking a bath can be quality time because you're alone and you're just naturally with your body. Even like just lying in bed for a few moments and not rushing into the day can be considered quality time. I think quality time is however you want to perceive it. It's not as limited as maybe the other ones. It's generally whatever makes you feel good and you want to spend time on. And then we have acts of service. I feel like when you're in a relationship, acts of service as a love language is much easier to practice and use because it's much easier to do something for someone that they might not want to do. Acts of service is, for example, it's much easier to do someone's grocery run for them. It's much easier to help them with an email they're having trouble scripting. It's much easier to help cooking or help do the cleaning one day. Whereas acts of service as a self-love, unless you like and enjoy cleaning, unless you get joy from certain acts of service, it's quite hard to actually practice it as self-love. For example, I do enjoy cooking and cleaning and organizing. I'm just one of those people that are like that. However, I wouldn't consider what I do an act of self-love. I'm not acting out my love language when I'm cooking and cleaning or doing stuff. It's just my everyday life. So to jazz it up a little bit, when I want to practice acts of service as a love language, what I do instead is, instead of cooking a mundane meal, I'll cook something that's really exciting, maybe a new recipe I haven't tried out. I will do bullet journaling instead of just writing a rushed to-do list. So when I approach acts of service as a love language, I'm doing acts of service for myself, but I'm finding joy within them. I'm taking a little bit more time and to make it something of quality rather than just a mundane job. Gift giving. Now, this was the lowest one on my ranking. With myself, I was a little bit surprised because I do like to give myself gifts. I do like to splurge out on buying something for myself. However, some ways I do practice gift giving as self-love. I think it's quite self-explanatory, like acts of service, but I do buy myself a really nice coffee once in a while, giving myself a new book that I have been eyeing up on my Goodreads shelves, buying myself a new plant because because your girl is obsessed and I have no shame. But I also do gift giving in a different way. So that's like giving myself time to just put on Netflix and binge watch a TV series that I've been meaning to binge watch but just felt like I haven't had the time. And it's also saving up money and then buying a ticket to a trip somewhere. Obviously can't really do that during COVID, but that's how like I value gift giving. I think it's something small or something vast. Like I don't think you always have to necessarily buy yourself like tiny little gifts. It can be in any shape or form. It's whatever gives you that sense of joy. And then last but not least, we have my primary love language, which is physical touch. Now, physical touch makes so much sense, a bit like acts of service in a relationship. When I think of practicing physical love as my primary love language, I want to be near people. I want them to be comfortable for me to be able to like lightly touch their shoulder or something, or hold their hand or give them a long hug. That like brings me a lot of joy because it's what makes me feel more connected to people. However, when I took the quiz and I saw that physical touch was my first love language, and I began to consider, how should I practice this as self-love? Like, can this even be practiced as self-love? Can I do it as well as I can do the others? So I really sat down and thought about it, and the 3 things that I can do to practice this love language that does give me a long lasting sense of joy is, number 1, getting into bed in clean sheets with shaved legs. I don't know, I think it's just how it feels sensually. That's just chef kiss. Love that. I love clean sheets and freshly shaven leg. You can't replicate that feeling anywhere else aside from maybe getting into water. Another way I do it is holding pillows, wrapping myself up in blankets just to get that sense of like comfort and being surrounded by something. And then the last one is taking a bath and giving myself a full body massage from my feet, which I know is like, people are saying it's like your second heart, to also giving myself a head massage. It was a very bizarre concept because I feel like it should have been someone else doing it for me, but once I like truly sunk in and I just started to actually become in tune with how my body was feeling, and then how I was feeling emotionally, and then how I was feeling mentally, because I was also doing words of affirmation alongside the massage, it was just a very, very nice experience because it felt like I was properly in tune with myself, and it felt like I was really like paying attention to how my body responds to me giving it love. And damn, it was kind of emotional. Not only did I sleep like really fucking well that night, but also just felt very peaceful and very relaxed with myself because I was just there. I was just tuning my body. It was me alone. It was nice. I definitely recommend if your primary love language is touch. It's kind of hard, but it's worthwhile to practice it on yourself. And that is a wrap on my video. I hope this gives you guys a little insight onto how you can practice love languages as a form of self-love. Do let me know what your primary love language is, or the love language that you feel like you like to practice the most, or any self-love habits that you like to do that you incorporate that might not fall into the love language categories. I'm very interested to hear. But yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely week and tune in next week for another video. Bye!